Welcome to the LaTeX Server. The LaTeX Server is a place in the cloud where anyone can create, upload, edit, compile, and store LaTeX documents. You can think of it like Dropbox with LaTeX capabilities. You find the server at latexserver.net, and on the front page you'll see a link to this video, a link to the documentation, as well as contact information for me. You have to have an account to use the server, so you would contact me to get those credentials. Once you have them, you can log in. In your root directory, there will be two items, the logs.d folder as well as a text document. You can get files onto the server by uploading them, or you can create files directly on the server. So you can write LaTeX documents from scratch. So we're going to open up the text document that I've already put on the server, and you'll notice that the document has syntax highlighting and line numbering, which makes editing files easier than they would otherwise be. When the document looks the way you want it to, you would click Compile and click Compile again. If the document successfully compiles, you'll be told so. The PDFs that are generated are always placed in the same folder as the source file. So let's go find it. Here's the PDF. We can open it up to preview, and it is the server documentation. Let's open the text file up again. You'll notice that the Use PDF LaTeX box was checked previously. We can uncheck that. What does that do? When we compile this way, in addition to the PDF file being created, a PostScript file is created. So we would hit compile, and it tells us that it was compiled successfully, and the PostScript file will be waiting for us in the same folder as the PDF. Now what happens when a document doesn't want to compile? Well, let's make that happen. We will remove something that is needed, and then we will save the file. This is important because the LaTeX server always attempts to compile the last saved version. So if you've made changes that haven't been saved, when you try to compile, it's going to compile the version that doesn't have the changes. So now that we've removed the element that is needed, we will compile this again, and now we are told that the compile failed with errors. And you can scroll through this and see where the errors occurred. What you're looking at in that window is the log file that's generated. So we can replace the element that was needed and save the file, recompile, and it worked. And you'll notice you don't have to close the compiling dialog box to edit the document. So let's return to the folder once again, and you'll notice here's the PostScript file that was generated on one of the previous compiles. If you go to the logs.d folder, you'll see a number of elements in here. The logs.d folder is where all non-PDF and non-PostScript files get put that are generated in a compile. So there's a AUX file, a DVI file, a log file, an out file, and a TOC file, because the document that was compiled has a table of contents. So if you need to look at those items, they will always be in the log folder. So if you're having trouble compiling a document and you need to look at the log file in more detail, this is where you'll find it. There are a few peculiarities of the server. If you have a document with a table of contents, it's necessary to compile the document twice before the table of contents shows up initially, and you keep having to compile it twice every time you make a change to the document that affects the table of contents. So when in doubt, compile again. But issues like that will be detailed in the documentation, which you can compile right there on the server. So that's the LaTeX server. If you want to account on the server, please contact me.